Hello and welcome to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and we are looking at my third rebuttal of the first part of the Gilead Graduation. I hope you enjoy. It was very enlightening and interesting, a lot more so than I initially thought it would be. So don't forget to drop a like on this video if you enjoy this content, subscribe to the channel if you want to see future videos like this, and let's do this.
For many, entertainment and sports have become the dominant aspect of their lives. Furthermore, 1 John 2:15 indicates there is a battle between two loves, love of Jehovah and love of the world. The stronger our love for Jehovah is, the better we will be able to resist the love of the world.
It's really interesting, and that's a point that Alt-Worldly and Jexit made. They did a live stream on this, and I really resonated with that. While I was a witness, I watched more TV, read more books, listened to more music, because I was bored, essentially. They keep you so busy. Yes, it's very, very true. But your brain and your body just need an escape. They need like something to do, and because you're not allowed to explore creative projects or things that you want to do for yourself, you often find yourself in like this little rut of just wanting to watch TV or read books and stuff like that. So I can definitely say that because I was a witness, I consumed more music, entertainment, books, whatever it might be, than I did after I left, because once you leave, you start actually participating in your life and you don't have quite as much time in order to do those things. It's a weird sort of dichotomy. Like, you do have more time when you leave, obviously, but you can do things that you want to do, like your projects, whatever excites you. Whereas when you're a witness, you're not really, you're just like, well, I'll get to doing that in the paradise, and so you end up just watching The Office for the 17th time in the last year. So I find it kind of funny, and maybe, is it ironic or coincidental? I don't know, I'm not an English major, but anyway, I do find it a little bit funny that he does bring this up. And yeah, anyway, in that live stream they did mention it. So shout outs to Jexit, shout outs to Alt-Worldly. They are cool dudes. And I mean, obviously you don't want to go and subscribe to their channels. You should only watch me because I'm the best.
How does love between two persons grow? One way is by communication. We communicate with Jehovah through prayer. Jehovah communicates with us through the Bible and his organization.
Ah, yes, the old gatekeepers of God. So, what he is described here, how does a relationship grow? He's not wrong in saying that it has a lot to do with communication. And then he says, well, how do we communicate with God? Through the Bible, which who controls what the Bible really says? That's Watchtower, the governing body mainly, and their helpers. And the organization. Who controls the organization? That's the governing body and their helpers. So they are literally gatekeepers of communication with God. Yes, they speak for God. You cannot get to know God unless you go through them. And that is why we are so confident in replacing God, Jehovah, with the governing body in all of these occasions, because it is so blatantly obvious. He spells it out, full frontal nudity to any Jehovah's Witness watching this. You can't get to know God. You can't have a good relationship. You can't love God unless it's through the Bible, our version of the Bible and our interpretation of the Bible. Don't get it twisted, and you picking up a Bible and reading it for yourself is not allowed within the Watchtower organization. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you cannot come up with your own doctrine. You have to go with what they say. So when he says the Bible, They say our interpretation of the Bible, and through the organization, which the governing body also happens to control. That's why we can so easily and comfortably, replace those words. See how calm I am? I'm very calm. I'm doing very good. I've learned a lot in the last 20 minutes of listening to this Gilead Graduation. Let's see what other amazing things that Garrett Loesch has to say. And stay tuned after this commercial break and a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. That was just a test for a bit I'm working on.
Head knowledge is not enough. There needs to be heart knowledge. Growing in love is a process. A plant grows when it is watered. Love grows if it is watered with the water of truth. In Philippians chapter 1, verse 9, Paul says, "And this is what I continue praying, that your love may abound yet more and more."
I'm sorry to come in here and rip the old Band-Aid off and drop the old logic bomb on Mr. Loesch's pompous head, but I gotta be honest with you. There's head knowledge and heart knowledge. As one John Adams said, facts are stubborn things. Facts don't care about you, and getting emotionally attached to facts, it doesn't help the situation at all. In fact, having this heart knowledge that he is suggesting is actually dangerous. It's actually something that is prohibitive of getting to the truth, or what's probably true in anything that you're researching. Because what you need to do if you're trying to establish whether something is true or likely true or not true, or likely not true, is take your emotions out of it. If you really, 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 really want the earth to be flat, then you might find some bozo on TikTok that can convince you in 6 seconds that science and the whole scientific community is running this giant scam trying to hide the truth from you that the earth is an oblong sphere. Anyway, but you guys get the point. It is silly to bring your emotions when you're evaluating information, because it's only going to get in the way. If, as a Jehovah's Witness, I told myself, hey, I know that this appears to be really sketchy, but I really want it to be true, so I'm just going to go along with it. That is stupid. That's actual, just egregious stupidity on your part. You need to be open to hearing all sides of an argument. You need to be willing to do the hard work and evaluate information and data, and you need to try and reach reasonable conclusions based on the data, not your emotions. Thus ends Wally's rant. Still no candle. I think I've maintained my serenity.
Love grows gradually. It is not enough to have a little love. We should abound in love. Jehovah sets the example. He expressed his love by providing the ransom. In Matthew chapter 18, Jesus compares Jehovah with a king who was willing to forgive a debt of 60 million denarii, or 10,000 silver talents. This certainly impresses his love for us.
Well, thank you so much, Garrett, because I couldn't really conceptualize, what 60 million denarii was, but because you put it in talents. Oh, silver talents. Now I know what that is in modern currency. That makes perfect sense to your mostly English-speaking audience. Is it mostly English-speaking? I suppose I don't really know. Maybe it's not mostly English-speaking. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. He's not putting it into a well-known currency where I can actually make sense of the thing that he's saying. Anyway, this is just a really silly little stopping point, but I got a giggle out of it, and I hope you did too.
How can we demonstrate our love of God in return? We can do so by serving Jehovah with all our heart. This includes preaching and teaching. True or false? The most important reason for preaching and teaching is love of neighbor. It sounds good, but it is wrong. The most important motive for preaching is, first of all, love for Jehovah. And the most important objective is to praise Jehovah. We want to glorify Him and to support the vindication of His sovereignty.
Maybe it's just me, but this absolutely feels like an admission that the preaching work is ultimately ineffective at actually bringing in new members. And so he says, well, the goal really isn't about the results. The goal really is about praising Jehovah. Yeah, because the only way that you can praise the God that you believe in is to go and knock on your neighbor's door and ask them if you'd like to join a particular religion that is operated in America. Bada bing, bada boom. Sometimes when you know, really, to be honest. Like, sometimes you have to be so woke that you can actually see into this miasma of craziness, and you can really find truth in there. And the truth is, that is the best way to praise your God.
Love of neighbor comes second. But we also need to show love to our brothers. In one congregation, several sisters took daily turns to prepare a hot meal for a quadriplegic brother. This shows that our love extends beyond preaching.
Oh boy, the old classic. Someone that is having a difficult time, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. What does Watchtower do? Nothing. But what do they praise? Themselves. Why? Because of what their members do of their own volition. Now, I know he's not directly doing that here. It's not, so obvious, but it is interesting that he is so happy and willing to praise, what someone will do for someone that's going through a difficult circumstance. And yet, they can't point to their own examples because they don't do anything that really helps people in practical ways. They are mostly focused on their spiritual food. The other aspect of this is this love of neighbor comes second. And it really proves true in how they handle child safeguarding. They try and keep everything internal as much as possible, not notifying the police. Most of you guys know the problems with regard to that, and the persons that are most at risk are people within the community that these situations happen in, because they are not notifying the authorities. It puts children at risk. And so whenever he says love of neighbor is secondary, it just makes me think, ew. I don't like that. Not at all.
It is like with the parable of the Samaritan who cared for the man that was assaulted and hurt by robbers. The Samaritan did not preach to the man who fell among the robbers. He just showed unselfish love to him.
Okay, so this is particularly annoying because we recently had a leaked video of a governing body member taking a European vacation. He didn't call it a vacation. It was us trying to lift people up spiritually. But essentially, a governing body member went to Poland to encourage people. Now, he's saying, now did the Good Samaritan just preach to them? No, he offered practical assistance. Well, what does the governing body do? They go over and they just preach to people. I know that they are doing some things in a practical way, but there is a big difference here and a problem, and that is a lot of the things that they're doing are not coming from Watchtower. They're actually just trying to be utilized and using free labor for the government. So I had someone send me a message about how, and I might actually cover this in a separate video, so I won't get into too much detail on it. But I had someone send me a message that they said, "Hey, I have actually done like these little runs for them, and while I was a Jehovah's Witness, and in the little care packages that they were sending to people to help them out, they had letters from President Trump and President Biden." So the materials weren't actually coming for Watchtower, and yet they take credit for doing this, and that was part of this person's waking up. Anyway, very interesting. I think I want to talk about that a little bit more later. But it's so funny to me that he can sit there and be like, "Did you notice what the Good Samaritan and Jesus illustration?" You know, Jesus, who I'm Jesus' mouthpiece for dispensing spiritual food on this planet. He gave a beautiful illustration about how you can't just preach to people, you need to help them in practical ways. And yet he's so tone deaf that he cannot see that all they do, all him and his buddies do, is preach to people. It's so wild and pretty annoying to hear.
Our love will be perfect if we love even our enemies. Jehovah gives sunshine and rain even to wicked opposers. One publisher went to a hospital to visit an opposing husband. The man appreciated this kind gesture very much.
Putting back on the old Christianity hat here and using it to denounce Watchtower, he is bringing up an example where Jesus himself, as proposed by the words in the Bible, says that you need to love your enemies. By Watchtower definition, I'm their enemy. And what do Jehovah's Witnesses do when they see me? What does my family do if I call or text them? They pretend like I'm dead. Do you think that pretending like someone is dead is the equivalent of love?
At Ephesians 3:19, Paul wrote, "The love of the Christ surpasses knowledge." It is not the love for the Christ, but the love that Jesus displayed that surpasses head knowledge and strikes a wonderful chord in our figurative heart.
And yet, Watchtower seems to miss on both counts. They clearly lack any head knowledge or ability to get clear and concise information across to people that's actually factually true, and they fail in the demonstrating of affection or care for the quality of life of their members that might disagree with some of the things they have to say. It's absolutely just disgusting how he can just throw these terms around without being able to just hold up the mirror and be like, "Oh, wait, we are definitely missing the mark on all of these counts." It's pretty crazy to me.
But we witnesses keep enduring by pursuing the surpassing way of love that never fails. We shall not only live forever, but also love forever and be loved forever.
I cut out a fair bit of the ending here just because it's his conclusion and it's not particularly interesting. But I do just have to say one quick little thing about this idea that, we will love forever and be loved forever. Yeah, that might be true, but only if you are a member of our little club. Anyone on the outside of this club is going to be killed, and they're going to build their new world society with the decaying corpses of anyone that disagrees with them. Just a small little detail. I mean, I thought I'd point it out just real briefly, just so everyone had a full picture here. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there just for clarity's sake. Thank you so much for joining for part 3 of the Gilead Graduation. I hope you guys like this format of videos every other day when it comes to doing these rebuttals. I think it's kind of fun and interesting, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, if you've made it this far, don't forget to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.